Hi. Thank you for attending today's reading. Let's begin. Saw me ass naked 5 comments share save hide report 95% upvoted. End of story. Next story. My girlfriend's mom told my girlfriend to cheat on me, so my girlfriend's mom really hates me. Neither I nor my girlfriend knows why. For the record, we had only met once. Before I was dating her daughter. At this time she had only good things to say about me and even suggested to her daughter that she should date me. So I assumed that her hatred towards me was because I was dating her daughter. You know, regular protective parent stuff. Turns out that I was wrong. Earlier today she suggested to my girlfriend, "You can date other people behind his back. It's not like he needs to know." I genuinely wish I was joking or even just exaggerating. This is probably the most fucked up thing to happen to me. I thought her problem was that her daughter may be having sex. But apparently now she's suggesting that her daughter have more sex behind my back. I've only met her mom once briefly as mentioned, so I can't even confront her about this. I genuinely do not know what to do right now. Suggestions welcome. End of story. Next story. Like clockwork, wake up, get dressed, go to work, do work, go home, go to sleep, wake up, get dressed, go to work, do work, go home, go to sleep, wake up, get dressed, go to work, do work, go home, go to sleep, every single day. Like clockwork. The same pattern repeated. The tedious tasks of the day only ever shifted slightly. But never enough to make the day stand out from the last. I typed for hours on end. I sipped countless amounts of coffee. I printed so many papers. I did too many spreadsheets. I laughed every day at my boss's shit jokes. And, to be completely honest, I was really fucking tired of it. For once I wanted to do something that mattered. Something. Anything that would cut me from this loop of monotony. When would my life become more than just a program? Like the clock on the far wall. It felt like I was going one direction for the entirety of my existence. That no matter how much I struggled to make every day unique, it always follows the full clockwise circle that it was programmed to do. I stared harder at the clock. And I swear that it seemed as if it had come to a standstill. I watched in awe at first. But the awe quickly turned to inspiration. I grabbed a pen from my desk and clicked it open. I got up from behind my desk for the first time in years. Never before had I abandoned my work like this. Never before had I made my own decision about what today would be like. Never before had I felt like this. It was enlightening. I paced forwards through the maze of office desks and mindless drones. My vision became hazy and my mind began to play tricks on me. The heads of my fellow co-workers morphed into clocks, ticking and tocking in that same clockwise motion. Or maybe my mind wasn't playing tricks. Maybe for the first time I could see the truth as clear as day. My boss approached from the opposite end of the hall. A shitty grin plastered onto his face. His stride was pretentious and his arms swayed way more than normal. His hair was gelled and flat, causing a great shine to reflect off his perfect strands. And, to top off his dickhead demeanor, the coffee mug in his hand read, "Best boss ever." What a fucking douche. Hey, man. How's the work? I shoved the pen into his eye with as much force as I could muster. His iris exploded in a mess of red and pink, releasing his blood in bursts down my arm and face. I stared at him as I did it, blank-faced and starry-eyed. I was captivated by the raw feeling of it. I pulled out the pen and thrust it hard into his neck. Streams of blood ejected from his throat and smeared my entire face. And I welcomed it. He fell eventually, gasping for air and crying in pain. The screams were like a melody in my ears. I turned back, looking at the clock on the far wall once again. This time, it reversed its course, spinning in an anti-clockwise manner. Same with all the co-workers' heads. I smiled. I walked towards the lift and I pressed the button for the ground floor. As the doors closed, a single bead of blood rolled down my forehead and over my eyelid. The red contaminated the whites of my eye. And suddenly, I saw it clearly. No longer were the days which were spent droning about behind a desk, eyes glued to a screen for hours. No longer were the days where I took orders from someone else. No longer were the days spent trapped within an infinite loop for the rest of my days. For the first time in my life, I was free. End of story. Next story. When I was 19 I would ski as fast as I could and crash on purpose. 9 comments. Share. Save. Hide. Report. 96% upvoted. End of story. Next story. Kid on a bike slaps my ass. This happened like 10 minutes ago and I was able to laugh it off pretty quickly, but hey, what the fuck. Me and my sis decided to go on a walk. We're both girls and older teenagers. Round about 17. As we're heading back towards our house we see someone on a bike. He is barking like a dog. Me and my sis shrug it off. Man. Furries have gotten wild these past few years. Huh? The kid comes closer. I'd peg him at around 12. Old enough to know what he was doing. He keeps barking. But as he passes us he addresses us. Something like, "Yo. Take off your hoodies." We didn't really react in any meaningful way. Just kinda laughed at the kid and kept walking. Not sure what you're supposed to do if someone just rides up to you and says that, and we didn't really know, so the kid passes us and is behind us. We keep walking. And then he passes us again and suddenly my ass has been slapped. Stung pretty bad. The kid just rode off as I was yelling at him. He kept barking. I cry easy and it was just so out of nowhere that I just teared up out of shock. But I'm fine. Obviously not an okay thing to do, but I think it's funny in a "what the hell kid" sense. That kid's gonna hit the wrong person someday and get put in the dirt and he will deserve it. It just happened, so wanted to put it somewhere while it was still fairly fresh. End of story. Next story. An unexplained event that happened in my childhood. True story. It's not much of an experience, but it creeps me out looking back. I had to have been around 12 years old. I was at school with the other kids at PE. All I remember was shooting hoops and practice dribbling a basketball while other kids did their own thing. The gym teacher was a hands-off kind of lady that letted kids do their own thing. I remember nothing out of the ordinary. Gym ends and it's time for lunch. While I was going to the cafeteria, my homeroom teacher took me aside, gave me a tray of food, and told me that I'm not eating at the cafeteria. I asked why, and she replied something to the effect of, "For what you did at PE." I didn't want to make a scene and was hungry, so I said nothing else. Until the end of the day I was in the principal's office. I was told that I took a kid's. I never talked to this kid. I didn't even know his name prior. Finger. And bent it in the complete opposite direction it was supposed to go. My dad at the end of the day told me that the kid was in the hospital. I responded by saying, it was an accident, because I thought I would get in even more trouble if I denied it, because they would think I'm lying. I'm not sure if I was framed or whether something neurological happened to me. A kid that I sort of trusted told me that he saw me do it. Years later I confided in my mom about how I don't remember doing any of it. And she told me that it might have been the Adderall I was taking at the time. End of story. That is all for today. If you want to support my automated channel, feel free to drop a like and subscribe. See you tomorrow.